Hey everyone, welcome to our Zoom. And we are so excited. Tara and Emily and we all got together and we asked our teams if they had a chance to ask one question, what would they ask a diamond? And we picked the top 17 questions due to time. So, top 17, so we're going to be going through those with you today. So, I hope everyone's having a great day. So my name's Dawnalea Robinson. I am a Diamond Silver Ambassador. I have re-entered, and that is our 11th way to be paid with Plexus. I am 30 years old. I have a toddler who is going to be 3 in June. I'm a registered nurse by trade. I've worked in pediatrics, trauma, and also as a lactation consultant. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. And Tara and Emily and I have all connected in many different ways, and we'll be talking about that shortly with you.
Awesome. My name is Tara Castaneda. I am also a Diamond Ambassador, and I'll be re-entering like Dawnalea did on May 1st, so I'm pretty excited about that. I am from Austin, Texas, and it took me around 23 months to hit the top rank of Diamond. And what I did before Plexus was not network marketing. I actually have a double major in English and philosophy, and I got a master's in business. So my hopes and dreams before Plexus was all about going up that corporate ladder, because I thought that that's how I would gain financial freedom and time, but little did I know, right? And I started Plexus mainly for weight management after I had my first daughter and some energy, and my why evolved over time. And it eventually became to just maybe make a little bit of extra money. I really had no desire to do the business when I started. And then later on it came, maybe I could stay home and not have to go back to work. And then it eventually became to retire my husband, and he just went diamond as well yesterday. So we're both double diamond, or both together we're double diamond. So Emily, you go next.
Awesome. Love you both. I'm Emily Roberts. I am 26 years old. I have a 2-year-old son and an 8-week-old son. And I live in Virginia, Stafford, Virginia. My husband is a Marine, so it's hard to say where I live because we've kind of lived all over the place. Our home is in Texas. We'll be back the end of this year. Officially, he'll be out of the Marine Corps. Took me about 21 months to go diamond. I joined because I wanted to see if these products were the real deal. I was super skeptical, and I really wanted to prove my upline wrong. I wanted to prove that they didn't work so I could blast it all over the place, but I was wrong. They worked so well for me, and I love them so much. So my why kind of went from that to kind of like Tara, retiring my husband. I always thought he would be in the military until he was old and gray, and the opportunity that Plexus has, offered us really changed that. And we saw potential of, we could both be stay-at-home parents. And so that will happen this fall. And I want others to know that they can make that happen for their lives too. So I'm going to turn this back over to Dawnalea and let her kind of explain how the three of us met. And we'll probably chime in too, but just kind of how this whole Triple Diamond Zoom call came to be.
Yes. Okay, so I forgot something about myself that was really important. I went diamond in 16 months, and I also retired my fiance. He is a senior Ruby, and I retired him last October. So he was also a registered nurse, and we met in nursing school, so now we are both full-time parents. So very, very important part of my story that I left out there. Sorry about that. So I met Tara first, I believe. We were on the Jewels page, so we do have Facebook pages, and she was posting about how she was, feeling overwhelmed. She'd taken on this huge new ring. She had a brand new baby, or maybe you were pregnant still. I'm not sure. I think you just had your baby. Mm-hmm. And I told her, I said, I know exactly how you feel, because I know when I went Emerald, I felt like all of a sudden everybody was pulling me in every way possible. I had no idea how to, time manage my business and take care of my family and just, everything that we need to do in life. And I had a lot to share with her. So that's how we met. And then we just continued our relationship through mommyhood. I helped her with nursing her babies. We talk often. She's going to be at my wedding, same with Emily. So, we've just grown our friendships. And then Emily and I met at the Plexus Gala last year at convention. And, Emily was always on my radar. I'm like, who is this girl who's just like taking off? Like, what is she doing? Oh my gosh, she's so young. Look at her. She's awesome. So we met there and we clicked and we were like, wow, like we could be good friends. Like we're real people. And we took our shoes off and danced the night away. And then that's the end of the story.
We did. I met Tara. This is so funny. We were just talking about this. It was a total fangirl moment at the Plexus convention of last year in 2015. She was wearing her baby and she was all wrapped up, and I saw her because of her gorgeous blonde hair, and I saw her walk in and I was like, babe, I was with my husband. That's who I'm referring to when I say babe. I said, babe, that's Tara. He was like, cool. I said, I gotta go talk to her. And he was like, okay. So I run up to her. She's shopping, like minding her own business. And I'm like, I'm Emily Roberts, and I just love you, and your baby's so precious. And okay, bye. And that's so awesome. The rest is kind of history. We kept running into each other at convention, and both of these ladies have totally poured into me and loved on me when I was feeling down. And it's nice to return the favor, because being a mom and a Plexus ambassador can be cray, and we know that firsthand. So this whole call is just to be a little vulnerable and to show you that we're real people. We're moms, we're wives, we're sisters, and we're leaders. And we want to show you how to do all of those things too, the way that we did.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so I will go ahead and start it off. And our first question is, what is our daily method of operations when we were a new ambassador? So for myself, I started, so I was the ambassador who posted the spammy cartoon pictures for the first couple months until I had, I had no idea what I was doing. So I was posting those pictures. I was making sure I was posting probably 3 or 4 times a day, but they were all Plexus posts. So it took me 6 weeks to get my first customer and my first ambassador, but I eventually started reaching out to people. So I was reaching out, and I used generic messages. And let's get real, I'm sure we have so much to share with you guys about what we have learned over our journeys on how to do things better and to learn from our mistakes. However, so I started, building relationships with people. I really started, posting and looking at, myself, what is my brand? How do I want people to think of me, and how am I exhibiting everything that I know and I love within Plexus so that I'm able to bring in the right people to my organization? And I felt like the most effective part of that was building relationships, because at the end of the day, even if somebody doesn't want to join my team or be my customer, I still want to be friends with them. I want to be genuine, and I want to have that foundation so that, when the time is right and if they want to come aboard, we are going to be a stronger partnership. So that's really what I did. It was mainly posting and reaching out to people. And then once I started, bringing in ambassadors for my team, then I started training, and we slowly evolved that to what it is now.
Yeah, I kind of have something similar as Dawnalea. When I first started, I don't know if you remember me saying, I really had no intention of doing the business. And I actually led a very private, socially, I really wasn't heavy on social media before Plexus. I really wasn't too prominent there, but something just kind of came over me saying, share your journey. And so I kind of began to blog about how I was feeling. And so, hey, I'm starting Plexus. I don't know who all knows about it. By day 3, I had mentioned something about my energy, but I also, once I started actually working the business, I also was doing the spammy graphics. I didn't know better, so learn from us, don't do them. But as I kind of grew into more of being a sharing person, a sharing ambassador, I was posting daily. I was also following up with my prospects list that was, interested in my posts. And then I eventually began to reach out to people as well. So for me, if you want to break it down, I was posting probably 2 to 4 times a day when I really began working the business, following up with people daily. And then I began to reach out to people, and probably when I started, I reached out to people once a week, but I quickly ramped that up once I realized how important that was, an important way to share. I started ramping that up.
Yeah, I completely agree. I did the exact same things that they did. Different from Tara, I was always on Facebook. They were my audience, and I was their entertainer. And so Plexus kind of casually fit into that, but guiltily, I posted the terrible salesy graphics, and I probably pushed a lot of people away in the beginning. And like Tara said, learn from our mistakes. From there, though, it was my mom and my husband who kind of called me out on it. They were like, Emily, you need to talk about how your life is changing. So like Dawnalea mentioned, this is relationship marketing. I had to reach out and like be intentional about who I was reaching out to. And that's what I did. I reached out to military spouses, old friends from high school, church people. I wanted to reconnect for a reason. I wanted them to know I was being genuine, but I also knew they would love Plexus. And then, of course, following up. I didn't know that's what it was called at the time. I just knew that they hadn't ordered yet, and I wanted them to, so I kept bugging them. But it worked. It worked. So same thing, posting on social media, building relationships, and then following up. And, this is what I tell my team. What were you doing before Plexus? When you get on Facebook, what were you posting about? That needs to be part of your daily method of operations. You got to be yourself. And if we stop doing that, we're just going to look like salespeople, and that is not what we want.
Yeah. And, Dawnalea touched on this too. Your DMO or daily method of operations is going to evolve over time. And, as your team grows, or as you, your seriousness about the business grows, it's going to evolve. And eventually it's, you need to implement into your daily method of operation, training yourself, watching training videos, reading books, getting on team pages and looking at those resources. And then as your team size grows daily, you need to be training your team. So it's going to evolve over time. A Diamond's DMO looks very different than someone just starting their business. So that's important to know as well.
Yeah. And I just want to add, I always tell my team, think of the one person. We all have somebody who we go to their page every single day on Facebook and we're like, what are they posting about today? They always post such interesting stuff. Maybe it's someone who you follow who is a Plexus ambassador. Maybe it's someone who's not. And for me, it was people who posted a lot of, health related things that I wanted to know more about, natural products. So even like as much as like making natural shampoo or this and that, like for me, that was very interesting. So I knew that for my network, that was interesting as well. So, always think of, why am I going to this person's Facebook? What kind of influence do they have over me? Because you want to be a person of influence and you want people coming to your page to see what you're doing. And even if they never want to join your Plexus team, you want to be interesting because you want to keep that network who never wants to join Plexus. You still want to keep that network and those relationships open.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'll go to the next question, which is about product knowledge. And it said, how long did it take for you to learn all the products so that you could answer questions quickly? So for me, and being a nurse and being a very natural-minded mom, I have always been really big on ingredients, but I want to know how the ingredients work. So when I first started Plexus, I took every single ingredient and I broke it down. So I did research on it. I love PubMed for research on ingredient specifics. And I just started breaking it down, and everybody's going to learn differently. So for me, I took, maybe 1 week I took the Slim and the Probio and I broke down every ingredient. So I wrote it out in my notepad and then I would make videos about it. And for me, that is how I learned. I was using it. I was, writing about it. I was talking about it, I was teaching it. So everyone's going to learn differently. But for me, that was the way that I learned our products. And I just was very intentional about it. I knew that I needed to be a master of my products, and it's not going to happen overnight. Just like any, when you think of any career, it's going to take a while to master it. But if you can try to, pull out 2 to 3 key points about each product, that's going to help you feel more confident. And, I still will go back to my notebook when I first started because, sometimes I forget some of the things I wrote down. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love these products even more now. And in digging through the research, I became more passionate about the products and I learned things I didn't realize. So, it's going to take time. I don't think that we can ever put a number on, how long it's going to take to learn about a certain product because everybody's going to be different. And, for me, most people try the triplex. So I want to be a master of the most common products in my network.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dawnalea. Be intentional about knowing our products. If you need to build your belief or your passion about Plexus, start with our products. If you break down those products and you look at those ingredients and you realize just the efficacy of the ingredients and the power that these products have, you will be sold out to Plexus in the best way possible because they are amazing. Our company starts with our products. So really, that's an important piece to understand. For me, what I had to do, my upline had a recorded call about our products and it broke down the ingredients. For me, I listened to that several times. I wrote it out and then I rewrote it out. And then to start slow, I started with our top 4 products, maybe 3 or 5 products, okay? And I stood in front of a mirror and I practiced repeating what the products were. So it just kind of gave myself some confidence in knowing the products, being verbally smooth in my delivery of explaining what the products are. And it built my own belief. And then I turned around and I recorded a call myself for my team. And so it's a lot of just repetition and practicing, okay, explain Slim in 2 sentences, explain BioCleanse in 3 sentences, and kind of quiz yourself, quiz your team on that. Do a one-on-one coaching call with one of your level 1s and say, okay, explain to me what Probio 5 is if I just asked and I don't know anything about it. So quizzing yourself helps too.
Absolutely. I would love to add into that you do not have to know everything when you're first starting out. If anything, just use them. Use the products. Use that welcome pack. I think the cool thing about our company is that they've provided so many resources and new success kits for ambassadors just getting started, like the product knowledge cards. Get them out. Get them out from under your bed. Get them out from that kitchen drawer. Get them out, flip through them, keep them in your purse. I can't even tell you how many times I kick myself when someone approaches me and they're like, hey, you're that Plexus lady, right? I live in a small town. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, can you tell me the difference between this and that? And I'm like, yeah, deer in headlights, right? We all have that moment. We know the answers sometimes. And you know it because you take them and you know how you feel. And sometimes we forget to just go back to that. So I think it's important to use your products first and foremost, then learn as you go. If you're using 3 products, those are the 3 that you can teach yourself. And you can implement those things that Dawnalea and Tara just mentioned and learning and how they work in your body, why they do what they do. You don't have to be a scientist. I'm not one. Tara's not one. Dawnalea's not. We're not scientists. We're moms, and we read ingredients and we read labels because for instance, nursing moms. That was kind of my why. I chose Plexus because everything on their label was okay with me, was okay with my lactation consultant, and I knew if I could consume it and baby could consume it, other people could consume it. And that was like a defining moment for me. So if it's just something little like that kind of opens the floodgates for you to just dive in and figure out, okay, why are Plexus products the best? Let it be. But you just got to use them. You have to use them first.
Absolutely. So our next question, and this is a very important question. How do you handle being overwhelmed? And I can probably speak for all of us that we have all been overwhelmed many times in our Plexus journey. I was just overwhelmed 3 days ago. So for me, I have found that a lot of times when I'm overwhelmed, I need to step back sometimes. I need to look at how I'm filling my cup. So, am I doing enough personal growth? Am I making it to yoga? Am I, clearing my head? Am I playing with my daughter? And then I have to kind of regroup with myself again and create a plan. So I notice when I have been overwhelmed, there is a plan lacking. There is some type of, there's an action that is just disappearing from me, and I'm feeling like I'm running around with my head cut off. So I feel like when this happens and everyone's going to be overwhelmed, we have to pause and really kind of look at what's going on. This is when I usually will utilize either my sister, who's my upline, who's also a Diamond Ambassador, or my sidelines. And I'll say, hey, I'm feeling really overwhelmed. This is what's going on. What would you do? How would you direct me? And then I'm able to create a plan. And once I have that plan, I feel a lot more relaxed and I'm able to move to the next step.
Yeah, I agree. For me, I can get overwhelmed easily sometimes, and with everything that's coming at you. And sometimes, like you said, Dawnalea, I just have to step back. And for me, it's lists. Lists help me really get my head clear. And I look at top priorities and go, okay, am I doing my top priorities first or second or third? What am I filling that doesn't necessarily need to happen right now? I also do what Dawnalea is saying is making sure you're filling your own cup. You can't pour into others if your cup is empty, right? So make sure that your own cup is full, and don't just throw a whole bunch of stuff out there and hope it sticks, right? Be intentional with your time, be intentional with yourself.
Absolutely. And just to kind of put the cherry on top of what they both suggested is stick to a schedule. We talked about having that DMO, that first question, what's your DMO? If you create business hours, and let me be the first to say I'm very, very guilty of not sticking to my business hours. I love Plexus. I love my team. I'm obsessed with both of those things. It is hard to take this little device and go, away from it. It is so hard to do that. And you have to. When you're overwhelmed, there's so many articles that point back to this that say, put your phone down, log off social media for the day. If you're having that moment of weakness, or you just feel like, oh my gosh, all I can think about is Plexus, and I don't even know when I brushed my teeth last, take a break. Go run on a treadmill. Go for a walk. Like Dawnalea said, play with your kiddos. And remember to just stick to those business hours. Your team can wait. Customers can wait. They're just as excited as you are. They'll be there right when you get back. So, boost up. That's what I like to call it. Is just take a minute, gather yourselves. Go to dinner with your husband, go on a date, come back, and they'll be there when you get back.
Yeah, and I just want to add that and I am so guilty at not sticking to business hours. Oh, so bad. But if you're not sticking to your business hours, then you have to look at, what am I neglecting when I'm not sticking to these hours? And even as a nurse, I wasn't working 80, 90 hours a week. I had a cutoff point where I was able to focus back on my family and focus back on the things that make me me and make me happy outside of Plexus. So if you're not, sticking to what you say, it's really easy for your team to lose that respect. They're going to know that, okay, if I message her at 2 a.m., she's going to answer her phone. And sometimes, in this, you want your team to be able to use resources, utilize what you have available, troubleshoot, utilize their uplines, chain of command. So sometimes it's okay to say, hey, my business hours are from 10 to 6. And, during that time, I will be more than happy to get you the answers and help you. But outside of that time, I am going to be investing in me and my family.
One of the defining moments for me, just made me think of this, Dawnalea. I was working 24/7. I wasn't following my business hours. And I finally posted on the team page, y'all, I have to, for my sanity. Do you know what someone said? Tara, I'm so glad that you realized that you were working 24/7 and that you're going to stick with it, because it made me not want to be a Diamond Ambassador.
Wow.
Because of how much you were working. Think of it that way too, guys. If you are working all the time, what message is that sending to people? We're doing this for freedom, right? So take care of yourself.
Yeah. So our next question is, how do you follow up with potentials without it being too much? So this is a great question. I actually have a kind of like a method that I follow. So the National Sales Association says that 80% of success in following up happens from the 5th to the 12th contact. And I think a lot of times when we train our teams and we say, okay, you've got to keep following up, people think that you have to be following up about Plexus. Hey, did you get my message? How are you loving your products? And the thing is it doesn't have to always be about Plexus. A contact is a contact. If you are commenting on somebody's post, if you're messaging them, how are your children feeling? I saw that you guys were sick, how are you loving your new car? You are building relationships, and a contact is a contact is a contact. It does not have to be all about Plexus. And I encourage you to make it not all about Plexus, because then you're not coming off as genuine. You're not building a genuine relationship. You are building a sales relationship. And for me, my team is my family. These girls in this, chat, they're my family now. We are close friends. And so it has to be, we want you to follow up, but we want you to do it to be genuine. You don't want to be just all sales. So what I do and what I train my team is follow up 5 times in 30 days. And like I said, it doesn't always have to be about Plexus. It's just a contact. After that, if you are getting no response, so you're seeing that your messages are going red, but they're not messaging back, or, you're just not getting anything, maybe you had a customer and they're just not getting back to you, then I usually wait 2 to 3 months and then I reapproach it again. A lot can change in that time, and timing is everything in this business. I've had people stop and then start up again because the timing just wasn't right, and same with customers. So you have to be open to know that this business, you have to see this business not only taking ownership for your business, but a longevity model, not a get rich quick, not something that's going to happen overnight. So even if that takes 2 to 3 months to build a relationship with someone who could be your primary leg, it is worth it every single day.
Dawnalea, you aced that question.
Yes.
I'm done.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
The only thing is, mic drop. The only thing that I could even think to add on is kind of like, I don't know, she nailed it. has to be, I guess, like a rule that I've given myself is 2 sentences or less. If you feel like you are, for lack of a better word, plexus vomiting on someone and all you can talk about is plexus or all your follow-ups are about plexus, keep it to 2 sentences or less. If they say, hey, what is plexus? You do not have to send 8 articles and you're a Reader's Digest version. Like, no. You can reply and go, oh, I'm so glad you're interested. Which product are you referring to? Because maybe they don't know. Maybe they think Plexus is just Plexus Slim. I mean, you have no idea what posts they saw, nothing. So you have to go slow and stick to 2 sentences or less. Reply with a sentence and a question. Let them respond. A sentence and a question. Let them respond. And then everything Dawnalea said.
You always want to leave them with a question. Hey, how did you love that video I sent you? Or can I call you tomorrow at 2? Because that's going to help them engage you more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the next question, which is a really important one. I think these are all important questions, but how do I motivate my team? And I hear this a lot from my team. My team isn't doing anything. Nobody's getting back to me. Nobody's building their business. And there's a lot of finger pointing going on saying, you know, they're not doing this. They're not growing. Nobody wants to, you know, join me. And, you know, we've all heard it. So anyways, I'm going to tackle this head on. So motivation starts in you. If your team is not growing, you have to look at what you are doing personally. So are you passionate? Are you sharing with people your vision? Do they know where you're going as a leader? Do your customers, does your network know where you're going? Is your vision down? You know, are you not vision driven? You know, if you aren't vision driven, then you really have to step back and take some time and so that you know where you're going, because you need a plan. You need to have goals. And I always help my team try to narrow down, you know, short-term and long-term goals, because I mean, I don't know about you guys, but for me, if I don't have, you know, knowing that, okay, like my next goal is going to be to go gold again in my reentry leg, that's going to be really, really hard for me, because I'm just going to be like flying around, you know, doing this and doing that, but I need to know where I'm going. That's really important. And then, you know, when you have team pages, and I tell my team, if you have 2 to 3 people on your team, then it's time to take ownership and have your own team page. You're even welcome to have a customer page if you want, you know, somewhere just to encourage your customers if you only have customers and share, you know, things that they might love, whether it be, you know, water articles or about, you know, recipes or whatnot. So you need to really take ownership. And in that, you need to be enthusiastic. You know, you want to be modeling the work ethic that you expect from your team. So, you know, on your team pages, showing passion every day, sharing new products, training your team, you know, making it a happy place, a positive place every single day. And then I have a couple more things to cover, but, you know, look what you're doing as a leader. You know, are you removing demotivating factors? Is your team page easily accessible? Are things clear? You know, is it easy to understand? You know, or do you have a bunch of, you know, unorganized files, or just, you know, a bunch of random things going on, you know, overwhelming somebody where maybe they're not going to be learning as, you know, they need to be. So, you know, and then identifying areas of lost passion. And I have found that in my bottom 80% of people, if they aren't growing, it's usually because they need help with something basic. So it's either a compensation plan issue that they're just not understanding and they don't know how they're going to be paid, or a product issue. You know, they don't understand the products. They don't know where to even find the products. And then you want to celebrate your team. And I really learned, this is something that I've had to work on personally a lot, because I don't, you know, everybody's different, but for me, I'm really an introvert and I don't need a lot of praise to be motivated. But I have learned that a lot of people need this praise every single day. You need to be pouring into your team, adding value to, you know, value to your team, praising your team. And all of these things not only are going to make you a better leader, but they're, you know, this is going to show in your network, your positivity, and people are going to want to approach you about Plexus, and they're going to be more open to things.
Yeah, for me, I'm asked this question a lot too, and I find that it's actually an unanswerable question sometimes, because I can provide all sorts of kind of motivation to you or to my team, but it's not going to stick. External motivation doesn't stick. Internal motivation sticks. So if you want to motivate your team, like Dawnalea says, have that internal motivation. And where does that start? Starts with your why, right? We're going to talk about actually that book here in a little bit, but it starts with your why. If your team isn't motivated, one, I feel like they probably don't understand the products, right? Because the products are motivating. 2, they don't understand the compensation structure because the opportunity that lies in front of them, they probably don't understand it, because if they did, they'd run with it. But 3, they're not fully grasping their why. Somebody's why may be, I want to make $500 a month, but why do you want to make $500 a month? Break that down. Does that mean that you get to take your kids to gymnastics without worry? What does that mean to them? If you can help spot your level ones and go, okay, you're not motivated. Let's talk about why you started this in the beginning. They're going to become motivated, and that's going to catch fire, especially on a team page. Team pages are so important. They need to be a place of public edification, right? You need to praise the heck out of your team, love on them. Let them see it's not just you that's successful. Somebody else is being successful. That's going to create a snowball effect, and they're going to go, oh, Susie Q's over here is successful with Tara. It's not just Tara, it's Susie Q. Oh, and Mary Jane, she's successful. Maybe I can be too. It's going to create a snowball effect. It's going to create a sense of unity, purpose, community, a sense of something bigger than themselves. People want to be bigger, a part of something that's bigger than themselves. I'm totally getting preachy here, but I'm passionate about this. Those things will motivate your team. If it's constantly about numbers, y'all, that's a mistake right there. Focus on creating a community, creating a loving environment, starting with their why, revisiting that why. Even if you know it, have them revisit it and go, okay, guys, let's do a post. What's your why? Have them have that fresh on their mind, because it can evolve. And if you're not careful, I found myself that I did this. I wasn't careful, and I had achieved all my previous whys, and then I had no idea why I was still doing it. And I was like, whoa, I need to revisit that. Maybe my team needs to revisit that. That can remotivate your team.
Mm-hmm. One more thing that I'd like to add, just because they've kind of covered all of it for me, is you have to know their love language. They both kind of touched on this. Not everyone loves to receive praise. Some people it's gifts. Some people it's a hug telling them they're awesome, or maybe they're down in the dumps. Maybe it's touch. Maybe it's quality time. Maybe they need one-on-one with you. Maybe they just need for you to pull them aside and be like, okay, you have 30 minutes of my time. What do we need to go over? Or maybe it is that words of affirmation. You are a rock star. That's me. Tell me I'm awesome and pretty all day long, and I will do whatever you want. Like, that is so me. So you got to find out their love language. Find what makes them tick. That is what's going to help them discover that internal motivation. Like, oh, she really does believe in me. She really does think I can do this. Or maybe you need to talk to them and their spouse, or whoever they're doing this with, a sister or brother. When you can identify those things, man, people light up. They light up. I didn't know that. I thought everyone loved gifts and words of affirmation just like me. And that's not the case, because I was doing contests and offering all these awesome incentives. And I'm like, oh, man, I would work so hard for that. Why aren't they doing anything? They didn't care. They wanted a network marketing book. They didn't want earrings. They wanted a network marketing book to show them why Plexus is better, why it was different. And I think we just need to discover that. We can offer things all day long. You can lead a horse to water. You can't make it drink. Same concept. So it's kind of an unanswerable question. You can provide tons of different things, but ultimately it's up to that person.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question, and we're going to start with Emily, but knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to yourself as a silver ambassador?
I love this question. Just because I was just talking about this with my mom. I filmed my diamond documentary a couple of days ago, and it was so surreal. It was one of those things that you think about. Now, prior to Plexus, I had done a network marketing company before with makeup, and you know all about the pink Cadillacs, right? You hear about them. You hear about these women that earn them, and you're like, gosh, that's amazing. I lived that life. I didn't ever in a million years think that I would be one of those women at the top of one of those companies. So when I went silver, which was kind of by accident, family members, gotta love them, they support you. I wish I would have created my own team page to just get the ball rolling on my own, because I had so much fire that I should have just poured into them from the beginning. And I wish I would have picked up a dang network marketing book, because I didn't. It took me over 9 months into my journey to read a network marketing book, which we'll get into that in a minute. So those are my two things. If you are watching this some days down the road and you're almost silver, you just went silver and you don't think diamond can happen, let me tell you, it can happen. but you got to pick up a network marketing book. You just have to have some belief.
Most definitely. I think reminding yourself too that it's a matter of when, not if, and really holding tight to that, because it's not going to be a straight shot up. It never will be. There's going to be loops and backwards, and it's going to keep going up. But it's you've all seen that graphic, right? The success is not like this. It's like this. Reminding yourself that is going to happen, and when you do hit those, backwards or low points, it's usually when you're learning a lesson, and be open and mindful and cognizant of that, and be thankful for those slow times because you can catch up and learn those lessons. That's pretty important too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm going to just kind of like soundboard off what Emily said, but really, for me, it was, I did not pick up a network marketing book until I was Emerald, you guys. So it was 11 months that it took me to do any personal growth. And when I first heard people saying, oh, well, you need to focus on personal growth and development, I had no idea what that meant. I'm like, well, I go for walks. Like I, have some time to myself sometimes. Like I had no idea what that meant. And once I was able to start, reading and investing in myself and investing more in my business on just a higher level, like a spiritual level, I was able to create, all these coaching series, and just, I was so re-inspired because sometimes, we can get really burned out, and I don't care what business you're in, you can get burned out. And I was feeling that pressure. And so once I was able to open my mind and, just explore a higher level of personal growth, my business just soared. And I really wish I would have done that at Silver. So, take it from us. Go get a book today, and we're going to go over our favorite books here in a couple minutes, but it was really important. And then another thing is just, right away, take ownership of your business. You are a business owner, and seeing that, I am a business owner. So when people ask you, oh, well, what do you do for work? Like I usually say, oh, well, I have a very successful home business that I love, and I'm a nurse by trade. So I lead with Plexus. This is my home business. I love it. It's so great. And just take ownership and be proud of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
Love it. Okay, let's see. What's our next question here? So how do you keep track of potentials and who to follow up with? And I honestly, mine is very generic. I write everybody down on a notepad. Mm-hmm. And I never take someone off my list unless they've told me no. And I continually am adding people to my list that I think, would be great at Plexus, or, they would find value in the products, that they would help them. And then once a week, I go through my Facebook Messenger, because I really do work my business primarily from Facebook. And I make sure that I haven't overlooked somebody who maybe messaged me, or somebody who I reached out to, because, we're very busy. So it's easy to sometimes, oh, hey, I forgot about that person. I need to follow up with them. But for me, it's just it's very, very simple, paper and pen. And I have a very large desktop calendar as well, where I will write follow up Friday, or, specific people, if I have a new customer whose order goes out, make sure I'm following up with them to make sure they're getting it, make sure they're taking it correctly.
Yeah, I use the calendar on my phone that syncs with my computer as well. So if I'm having a conversation, I always like to keep the ball in my court instead of saying, okay, reach out to me when you want. Don't stop doing that. Instead, say, all right, I'll follow up with you in 2 days if that works. And then put it on your calendar that you're going to follow up with them in 2 days. And I get dings, oh, follow up with, Sally in 30 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to follow up with her. I also have both lists, but an Excel spreadsheet. So I keep names, and I keep dates of when I follow up with them. And then I also go through my Facebook Messenger as well.
Absolutely. So I'm like Dawnalea. I'm a list person too. I think we are very type A women, just saying. Lists are fun for me. But something that someone on my team shared, she's my level 3, Allie Edmonds, she shared this idea with me, and maybe you two will love it and your teams will implement this. It's getting an index card holder, those little boxes, and you get the little mini calendar folder. So it's numbers 1 through 31 inside the box. And you have index cards. And it's kind of the same concept as your list that you have in a notebook, but instead you grab a note card, you write that person's name down, and y'all talked on whatever. You write down 4/17, talked about products. That was on the 17th. So you're going to take that card and you're going to tell that person, hey Jane, I'm going to follow up with you in like a week So whatever is a week from the 17th, I can't even think right now, like the 22nd or something, I don't know. Put the card on that date. Put the card on that date and do it that way. It's called a tickler file. If you want to Google it and see what I'm talking about, it's called a tickler file, and you just number it off, and it's hands-on, so it's not on your phone. It's not a list. If those things freak you out, like you're not good with technology, lists overwhelm you. It's hands-on, and it's a way for you to move those cards, take them out, and hold you accountable because you have to update them. You have to write on the card. You have to write what they're talking about. But she shared that idea with me on a call, and I was just like, when I get settled, I'm so trying it. It's a great way to follow up. And this girl's a rock star. She always has over 1,500 PV. So take it for what it's worth. I think it's working for her.
That's a great idea. So our next question is, what was the hardest thing for you to overcome in your journey to Diamond? And for me, it was really realizing that not everybody was going to join me. Not everybody wanted to be on my Plexus team. Not everybody wanted to be a customer. And sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow. And, I feel like we feel it more in our organization where we have somebody and we're like, you are going to be amazing. And you pour into them, and they just don't grow. And I feel like it's really, it's easy to take that personally. Like, well, maybe I didn't do enough but for me, it was a matter of saying, okay, not everybody's going to do this. Not everybody's going to grow the way I have. And, I need to really focus more on their goals. And maybe their goals are just to take swim for 1 month and I'm going to support their goals. But, really being able to say, I can't be held accountable for everybody's success. I am accountable for myself, for my own success and failure. I'm accountable for getting people off to a great start and knowing that, not everybody's going to want to do this. And that's hard for some people. And we can't want it. We can want it for people, but we can't do the work for them. And I always tell my team, like, I am your partner and I'm here. I'm your cheerleader. I'm going to do everything I can to help you. But ultimately, it's going to be up to you.
Yeah, I got stuck twice in my journey to Diamond. Once at Senior Gold, I went pretty quickly to get to Senior Gold, and then I got stuck at Senior Gold for about 7 months, and then I got stuck again at Emerald for about 6 months. And looking back on those times, I almost quit Plexus. I was like this close to quitting, and it wasn't but 7 days later that my business turned around. So if you're thinking about quitting, just don't. Oh my gosh, just don't. But the first thing that got me stuck was duplication on my team. I had gotten myself pretty much to Senior Gold, and I could not get to Ruby because I couldn't get the involvement of the team. And so I actually made a video about this. It's on my YouTube channel. It's called My Business Journey, 5 Tips to Grow. But to just really recap it, the main thing that I did to get out of that stuck phase was create an event calendar for my team. And at first it felt like I was kind of pulling teeth, but it was 3-way chats, online sip and sees, Facebook parties, opportunity events. I even Skyped in. If I couldn't be there, I was Skyping in. This is before Zoom. I was Skyping in. And so I did as many events as I could, and it really turned my business around. When I got stuck at Emerald, it was what you mentioned, Dawnalea. It was personal growth, and I didn't really truly understand what that meant. But it was about me creating leaders on my team. And in order to do that, you have to go through personal growth. But more than that, you have to encourage others to go through personal growth with you. Mm-hmm. And so that's when I started doing accountability groups, book studies, coaching calls. I really dove in to that side of the business, and not but 6 weeks later, that's when I just shot pretty much straight to Diamond and passed. But it was that personal growth piece for me. So those are the 2 hardest things. But I look back on it and I go, you know what? I'm so thankful for those slower times because I never would have learned the lessons that I had learned.
Absolutely. I love that. I didn't know that about Tara. So I like hearing this inside scoop. So for me personally, I got stuck at Sapphire for about 10 months. Similar to both of them, I kind of carried myself. I had no problem adding people to my team, but it was a matter of duplication and pouring into them. All these people had trusted me. All these level 1s were like, okay, Emily, let's do this. I want to be like you. And I'm like, all right, you got this. Okay, bye. I'm going to go add more people. I wasn't stopping to just smell the roses, so to speak. I had all these awesome men and women that were ready to dive in, and I didn't invest into them. So this is what I did. I created a level 1's team page. And when when I just took a minute I'll never forget that moment. I created 2 videos. They were 8-minute long videos about mental toughness and just jumping all into Plexus. And I posted them. That was the first thing I posted on this level 1's page, which half of them were inactive or I hadn't spoken to in a while because they were mad at me for kind of leaving them hanging. People are coming out of the woodworks. And I will never forget the first comment on that video said, Emily, I needed that. Emily, this is the training I've been looking for. I needed this attention from you. I'll never forget those comments that kind of came in. I think we get really excited, and some of us are really great about building, and we have that integrity and trust that people look for when it comes to this business. But if you neglect those level 1s, those are the people that you hold hands with in this business. Those are the people you run with to the top. And if you're not holding their hands, it's kind of like Red Rover, Red Rover, let so-and-so come over. That's another network marketing company that's going to swoop in and take them. That's another person that's going to quit that could have really used this opportunity and income. You just never know. So you have to invest into those level 1s. And that was the hardest part for me, was getting stuck in that Sapphire parking lot thinking, I'm never going to be a diamond. And I had it in my heart, right? Tara told me every day, Emily, you're already a diamond. You're already a diamond. It's just a rank. You're already a diamond. But what are you going to do when you get there? Why are you doing this? So you just kind of have to revisit that and use your level 1s. They love you and they trust you, and build their businesses.
So Emily, I'm going to have you take over this question too, but how did you accumulate such a large network?
So my network is all over the place. Why? Because I'm a military spouse and we have lived in San Diego. We have lived in Hawaii. We are both from Texas, and then now we live in Virginia. So if you're watching this, you might be thinking, oh, well, you're lucky. You have, all these people. That's not necessarily the case. In the beginning, I was the military spouse that was super insecure. I knew nothing about the military lifestyle or breaking out of my shell. Like, it took a game of, believe it or not, beer pong to get me to just open up and have some fun with friends. And it was really, really hard for me to do that. Well, when Plexus fell in my lap, I didn't realize I needed friendships. So it goes back to that relationship marketing we were talking about. I needed friends, and I had no idea that I did. And so I let those friendships evolve and happen. I let other military spouses who were hating life just like me, because your husband's halfway across the world, I let them invest themselves into me. I poured into them. We went through deployments together. We waited for our spouses together. We figured out this mommyhood by ourselves, and that's kind of how my network took off. Other women, other moms were like, God, Emily, you're so positive through all of this. Let's be real for just a second. I cried a lot. I probably drank more wine than I should have, and I called my mom every day. But that's what I shared in my network. My Facebook is public. I hide nothing. I love the vulnerability that I have now and that confidence behind it, because I'm not afraid to say, I need a glass of wine. Today was really rough. My 2-year-old tried to cut my blinds in half. My newborn has nursed every hour on the hour. My husband is mad at me. I'm a hot mess. And I think others related to that. And they were like, gosh, who is this girl? She is me. I so relate. I think that's why my network exploded. I think that's why I'm here now in a diamond position, because so many people can relate to what I had to share. So I encourage you, be vulnerable, be yourself, and be genuine. I might look like some entertainer because I like to be funny, but that's just who I am. That's how my mom and dad made me. So if you're not funny, don't try to be funny. If you're not super smart, if you're not an RN, don't try to pretend to be an RN that knows all these awesome ingredients and fun facts. If you don't have a PhD, don't pretend to have one. Be yourself. If you're a hot mess mom, raise your hand and be a hot mess mom. I think that's what we all can relate to.
Yeah, I agree with Emily. Just being vulnerable. As far as my network, Facebook started in 2004, and I was in college at that point. I'm 29 now, and it was really cool just to friend everybody. Like, you just friended everybody. Like, you meet somebody, like, oh, you on Facebook? I'm on Facebook. Da, da, da. So I really had that kind of in my back pocket. I mean, I honestly probably don't know half of these people. I'm like, I think I met you that one time. So that kind of played into favor. But more than that, it really was I think I had a level of credibility just outside of Facebook, where I was friends with a lot of people, and I believe that that I am trustworthy, that I do have a credibility about me, and that helped. Now, if you need to build your credibility or build your trustworthiness, you can start now, but you can. But I think that helped as well. But remember, guys, it's not just who you know. It's not just your network. It's who you know and who they know. So even if you have 400 Facebook friends, she's about to go Sapphire in 9 months, hopefully today, fingers crossed for her. But she started out with only 400 Facebook friends. She lived a very private social life. It's about who you know and who they know and your level of credibility. And also be intentional. Be intentional. Are you on mommy groups? Are you friend the people at your church? Friend the people at your kids' daycare or your mother's day out? Friend your neighbors. Be intentional about networking. You know, when you think of professional networkers, and at a diamond level, you are a professional networker, you are intentional about it. We always encourage, or I do, and I'm sure both of you do as well, your level ones, make a list of your top 100. Just make a list. Does that list stop at 100? No, it should never stop it at 100. It's a continual list. So be intentional. Every time you meet somebody, hey, here's my business card. Are you on Facebook? I'd love to friend you. Be intentional about building your network.
Yeah. And for me, I felt like, so I grew up in California, and I went to nursing school in Texas, and then I moved back to California. And then shortly after I had my daughter, I moved to Nashville. So I had these little pockets of friends that I had made and people who I had grown up with. And when I became a mom, I started realizing that I was having a hard time fitting into what was mainstream and normal, and it just didn't feel right to me. So I started a mom's group, and it started with just 2 or 3 friends, and then everyone's like, oh hey, well I got a friend, and we're moms, and we're all gonna come in here and party. So I had this big culture of moms, which is so great when I started Plexus, and they're very natural minded, crunchy moms. And so it took me a long time to get these women on board with me, because they're the ones who are going to be researching for 6 to 9 months, maybe a year. And then once they're in, they are all in. So I share this to say that, the right people are worth the wait, and you never know who that's going to be in your network. When I first started Plexus, even though I had this really large, booming mothers group, which is also a breastfeeding support group, but I went through my friends list, and this was probably, I would say, just a couple weeks before I joined Plexus. And it's so funny how things work. I had no idea that God was going to put this into my life, but I deleted almost everybody. If I didn't know them, had a really good relationship with them, I had 100 friends, 100 Facebook friends the day I signed up. And so for me, it was rebuilding relationships again. Okay, sorry, I deleted you last week, but I really want to get to know you again. But and that's the thing, the tools and the skills needed for this business, they can be learned. And, the relationships that you're going to gain, they are really invaluable. So, just because you may have 50 friends on Facebook, that does not mean that you are not going to be successful. You may know someone who knows someone who you have this level 3 or 4 or 5 rock star who, comes in and has, just this amazing social influence. So you just never know. And, I feel like we might cover this, but I've just kind of felt like a lot of my people who I thought were going to be total rock stars weren't, and then people who I thought were probably not going to ever work their business have. So you just never know. So it's about keeping an open mind.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to start with Tara, but what network marketing books do you recommend, or books for personal growth?
Yeah, this is very passionate. This is a passionate topic if you haven't picked up on that already yet for me. So get out a pen and paper if you've got one, because I've got several books. But to start with, okay, so if you're brand new to network marketing, this one right here, Eric Worre, if you can see it, Go Pro. This is a great one. It's $5 online. Sometimes you can get it free. That's it. He oftentimes sends these out for free. You just pay for shipping if you click on his network marketing page. But this really, I didn't say this earlier, but I didn't read this until probably my 4th month into network marketing. And I read this and it was like, light bulb moments. I was like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh, okay, that's why I'm doing this. Oh, and I should be doing that. So this is wonderful. The second one is Rock Your Network Marketing Business by Sarah Robbins. I have a total girl crush on this girl right here. She's incredible. Follow her blog. She has amazing videos that can really teach you to lots of great series. Just love her. But this is great. So you read this one. It's going to give you a good foundation. Read this one. It's like a cherry on top that just solidifies and concretes this one in. So these are great together. Both very short reads. You can see that they're pretty thin. Read them in a day. Those are great to start with. Okay, if you need to build belief in network marketing, if you don't know the possibility that's lying in front of you, boom, for your career, read this. This will make you understand why you should try for network marketing. Incredible book, short and easy to read. Okay. If you are trying to figure out how to motivate yourself or motivate your team, start with Why by Simon Sinek. It's fantastic. It really helps you understand why is so important. So this is a great one for your team. It's a little thicker, but it's great. It's meaty. It's juicy. It's great. If you are a great book to help grow your team. So if your team's kind of stuck and they're not growing and pushing themselves, this is a great book. It's by John Maxwell. Love him, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. This is really great to do a 6-week book study coach class on. You can do little exercises that are based on each book or each chapter, kind of like homework assignments. It really helps people to find that it's easy to personally grow. Personal growth is not easy. Sometimes it's very scary, but this is a great intro book for it. And it can not only teach you how to grow yourself, but it can help teach you how to grow others. So this is a great one. If you have a team, and I like to say if you've got a team, senior gold and above, this is kind of what I recommend, is John Maxwell, How Successful People Lead. I read this at Emerald, and I will just show you what the inside of this book looks like for me. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's like all written in the entire thing. It's like dog-eared a gazillion times. This was nothing but light bulb moments for me. I realized that you have to be a certain level leader to create leaders at that level. If you are a level 1 leader, you're never going to attract a level 5 leader, and your business is not going to grow. So you need to be trying to reach that pinnacle leadership, which is level 5, and this book teaches you how. This will teach you how to grow leaders. This will teach you how to develop your own personal leadership. All right, this one that's near and dear to my heart is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter. It looks like this book has not been updated since the 1980s, and it probably hasn't, but it is fantastic. It is all about your self-talk. That is so key in this business. If you are having negative self-talk, guess what? You're not going to get very far. So positive self-talk, and this teaches you how to have positive self-talk. This is another book that I did a 6-week coaching class on with my team. We saw 52 promotions in 6 weeks on my team after reading this book. This is incredible. And if you yourself are struggling to dream, if you're thinking, my gosh, I could never be a diamond. Oh, I just don't know if I could ever do that. Pick up this book right here, Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. It's fantastic. It teaches you and shows you to be vulnerable, trust the process, dream a little bit bigger, dare a little bit greater. That's fantastic. So obviously I'm a book nerd. I love those. But those are like my hands down go-to, and I revolve those in my team. So we're constantly reading books, and I think it's really paying off on my downline.
Mm-hmm. Those are great books. I wanted just to share a couple other ones. So I really love Launching a Leadership Revolution, and it talks about how to master influence. So we talk about influence in this business. You need to have influence to be able to grow. You need to have influence to be able to sometimes inspire and motivate your team. So I really like this book. It's by Chris Brady and Orrin Woodward. And then another one is Millionaire by Halftime by Presley Swaggerty. It's a great, great, great book. This book inspired me so much. I created, after I read this, 2 different coaching series for my team. I was just like a light bulb moment for me. And then I am doing a small group in my church, and this book has been so great for my own personal growth, but The Wonder Life, and it's by Mike Foster. And he talks, and it's a workbook, and it's really great because, let me see here, like, there's pictures, like if you're like a visual person, it's just great. But he talks a lot about, being unashamed about the things that we love and care about in life, and that our passions are our callings. We don't just love Plexus for no reason, or we don't just love helping people. That is our calling, and we are here to do something great with that. So, and this really comes into play when we talk about critics and naysayers in our business, that, don't hide the things you love. Like, don't try to be someone else online, because that's not you. You should be passionate and be open and be confident about who you are. And that alone is going to create a following, and, people are going to love and care about you. So, just knowing that, no one's perfect, but like, you're here for a reason. And this book, I didn't think that it was going to play so much into my business, but it really, really is. And I just love this. But he says, you're right where you're supposed to be. God writes all the pages in our book, and this chapter might be the highlight or it might be the lull, but ultimately it's his to write. Relax into it. The story isn't over. And this just reminds me of, personal growth in this business and our journey. Our journey is our journey, and the time it takes. And when you get to diamond, it's not over. If we just said, okay, well, that's my end goal, I'm going to be diamond, that's it. That's not helping anybody. People want to watch a leader who is continually growing themselves and is able to say, these were my trials, these were my areas where I am strong, and this is where I'm still going. We don't stop. We don't get to diamond and stop. We still want to go. And I think that's what makes a leader, a true leader, a leader, that, there is no end game to this.
I'm going to add one more book, and it is Go for No by Richard Fenton. I don't have a visual example to show you because I just recently gave that book away to someone on my team. But if you are struggling with connecting with others, reaching out to people, part of that DMO, reaching out to 5 people a day, if you are struggling with hearing the word no, I definitely encourage you to pick up this book. It's super cheap on Amazon, like maybe $5. It is a 1980s book also, but it's like 76 pages long. You could read it in less than a day. And it highlights this man's journey in sales. It's a sales book, but he hits his head on a rock playing golf one day and falls into a deep sleep and meets his future self. And his future self is super successful. And he's like, whoa, when did I get so successful? And he's like, well, you didn't. I'm the future version of yourself if you would have went for no, but you didn't. You went for yes. And it's so great. It teaches you to go for no and to plant seeds and to be bold in your Plexus business. So I definitely encourage you to check that one out.
I forgot one more too. Sorry, I don't know where the book is, but it's really great. You made me think of it because you said connection. John Maxwell, everyone communicates, few connect. Part of being a successful network marketer, or just, successful in your daily life, is being able to influence. If you can't influence people to try the products, if you can't influence people to share the products, if you can't influence people to start personal growth, you're not going to get anywhere. How do you influence? You connect. And that book, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect, is a step-by-step guide on how to learn to be a better connector. Okay, that's it.
And that brings up something to me, and something that I've been learning through this book, The Wonder Life. But people are going to connect with your struggles. And I feel like some people think, oh, I'm struggling in my business, and they see it as a disadvantage, but it is an advantage. If you have been struggling, people are going to connect with that. If you're struggling in your health, if you're struggling financially, people are going to connect with that. So when I came into this business, I came in because I literally could not afford my $35, my $34.95 to sign up. I charged it. I put it on a charge card, and we struggled. My fiance and I were working opposite shifts, and we never saw each other. And people connected with that struggle. They connected with me wanting to be home with my daughter more. And, they connected with me, no longer wanting to miss milestones. So, your struggles are an advantage. So it's all about mindset and, changing how you see what you're doing with Plexus.
For sure.
Okay. So, Tara is going to talk about attrition rate and what to kind of expect in this business and how to overcome that.
Yeah, so something that I want to preface this with is attrition or fall off, okay, people quitting, is normal and to be expected. You will not have anybody, like a team that doesn't have a single person quit. So don't sit there and focus on white lines. It's very normal. Someone once told me, and I can't remember who, or maybe I read it somewhere, but if you're under 2 years in network marketing, a normal attrition rate is between 20 and 35%. That's normal. Once you reach that 2-year mark, it's normal to be even higher than 50 to 65%. So know that it will change over time and it's going to happen. As far as attrition, how do you prevent attrition? That is training your team, duplication, making sure that they understand basic knowledge. Have a training system in place for your team and reiterate it multiple times each week on your team page so that people know what they're supposed to be doing so that they can be glued in. That's how you're going to overcome and rebuild, which I've had to do before.
I completely agree. I think that in the beginning, when you get that first inactive ambassador, or maybe your first customer that asks for that money back guarantee, you kind of have a freak out moment and you're like, you immediately internalize and say, what did I do wrong? What did I do? And it may not be about you at all. It could totally be about their timing. And I want you to know if they quit now, they might come back later. It's okay. So like Tara said, focus on those new customers, those new potentials, new ambassadors, and don't so much worry about the ones that need a break.
Mm-hmm. And then Emily, when do you share on social media? So we got this question, and when is the best time to share on social media? And I know that you've had some time with Vincent Orleck, so if you could share that with us.
Absolutely. So if you don't know who Vincent Orleck is, he is our social media guru at Plexus, and he's shared some tips and tricks and articles with me. And we have found that the best times to share about Plexus are 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And I'm going to briefly explain why. That is when everyone is on social media. There have been articles and studies, and there's so much proof behind it. People are eating breakfast and scrolling through Facebook. They're sitting in rush hour traffic. They're at the office and they don't feel like picking up the phone and starting their day, so they're on Facebook. That's when they're going to see your post. And then again, at night, they're coming home. They're sitting in rush hour traffic. They have, they're winding down. They're watching The Bachelorette. Think of when your Facebook was full of posts. There's the Grammys are on, a really hot popular TV show is on, and people are going crazy for it. So you have to remember that when you're posting. Keep your Plexus posts at the beginning of your day and the end of your day, and throughout the day. Post pictures of what you eat. Post pictures of your kiddos, your cats, whatever makes you happy. But don't Plexus vomit, and keep them separated and post in those hot hours. I think that's super, super important to remember. Tara, what is the top thing in your whole business, the number one effective thing that grew you to Diamond?
Yeah, I think we kind of already covered that, but it would be personal growth. Personal growth, developing yourself and creating leaders underneath you. Don't handhold, don't spoon feed, create those leaders underneath you.
Absolutely.
And then Emily, where did you find your biggest rock stars, and were they a surprise to you?
Yes. For instance, I had a girl, Jennifer Brett. She went senior Ruby last night. She was probably one of my biggest skeptics. When I first approached her about this, she literally rolled her eyes and said, no thanks. That stuff, that's a scam. Disclaimer, all military wives usually are in some sort of network marketing, candles, makeup, supplements, whatever floats their boat. Because we move so much, it's easy to take it with us. So she knew all about it, right? Because all these other wives do it. So when she joined and she took off, it's so funny now to reflect on that, because she was my biggest skeptic. She shot me down publicly on Facebook and in person. And now she has this fiery passion that has taken off. So you never know, that biggest skeptic, I think we say it all the time, skeptics make the best ambassadors. She's definitely living proof of that.
Yeah, and I was actually a skeptic when my sister presented the business opportunity to me. As much as I needed it, I told her no multiple times, and I told her, I think I actually used the term pyramid scheme. I said, no, I'm not doing that, but I needed it. I needed the business, and it took some time for me to really open my mind and think outside the box and look at network marketing as a legitimate business model. And once I did, finding that belief and really learning, about network marketing and direct sales, and that just obviously it's changed all of our lives, and we're going to have skeptics, but if they're able, I feel like sometimes with timing, if they're able to find that right timing in their life and really look into it, they can see this is something that is going to change their life.
Yeah, one of my biggest rock stars actually told me no 3 times before she finally said yes. I kept going, you would love this, you're going to love it. So yeah, you never know.
So our next question is, how do we train our teams? So I really feel like most of us probably do this pretty similarly, but I'll just give a quick run through on what I do. So when I sign someone up, I want to get them on the phone in the first 24 to 48 hours, 72 if we have to, but I want to capture them in that excitement. When they're excited, they signed up. But before we get on the phone, I make sure that they're already posting, I let them see the value in being immediate in action, because if we're waiting, someone might be working your network, somebody else might be signing up, your mom or your sister or whoever, because they're looking into Plexus and you don't even know it yet. So, make your first post, come out and say, hey, I'm an ambassador. I'm so excited for this journey. Or if you've been a customer and you have some kind of experience, I've had the best energy in my life, or, whatever you want to say, you are able to cultivate that audience and really start planting those seeds. And then when I get on the phone with my ambassadors, I want to know their goals. I want to know what their background is, what have they been doing, so that they're able to, like for me as a nurse, I felt like my strength was, how things work in the body. So I was able to take those ingredients, and it was easy for me to understand how these products and ingredients were going to help people. But, we focus on their strengths, and I always ask them, what are you willing to sacrifice right now? What amount of time are you able to put into your business? What sacrifices will you make? Maybe it's not watching that favorite TV show at night, so, where can you add a little bit more Plexus time? And then I help them to create their list, their first list of people to reach out to. I help them create messages to go out to these people. Why is this person going to be good at Plexus? Or how are these products going to help this person? I want you to explain this to them. I want to help you create a message to them. And then maybe doing a Zoom like this, so you can walk them through their back office and walk them through your team pages, walk them through just having that confidence to reach out to someone for the first time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have a training call that they listen to right when they get started, and it talks about 5 key points on network marketing. It also will give them their first 30-day goals so that they know that they have direction. The second thing is we have a product call. I mentioned that before. I want them to learn about these products and know about it. I want them to take notes and send those notes back to their upline so that they can kind of reiterate back what they've learned. I also have a call on retention to teach them from the get-go how to retain the team and the customers that they have, that they're going to gain. We also have several documents. So I made a video, and if you're curious about that, how I run my team, there's a video on my YouTube page about this as well. But we have documents that we plug them into, so that right when they get started, there's already a system in place, a program in place, especially for their first 30 days, to teach them how to move forward. And then as their team size grows, then their training adjusts. For me personally, something that I've done that was more recently that has been so fantastic is I created going for gold. So anybody from start to silver, it's a going for gold page. Then anybody that's gold and senior gold gets put on a ramping up to ruby page. And anybody that's ruby to senior ruby is gimme that Emmy for emerald. And I do rank specific training for them. Each one has a video that's played. Those are actually on my YouTube channel as well. So there's a program in place. That's how I think you're going to duplicate your efforts if there's a program. If you're just throwing stuff and hoping people are doing it, you're going to run into some hiccups.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. I think that being mothers, it's really, really easy for us to kind of map out our days, and that includes our teams too. So when it comes to duplication and it comes to training your team, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Those 3 pages that Tara just mentioned, that's simple. And it's something that I can take and I can duplicate with my team. It's not overwhelming. It's a Facebook group page. Our teams are going to get bigger and bigger. Your team, whoever you are watching this, your team's going to get bigger and bigger. And those team pages are going to just swallow people whole. So it's important to make groups like this that are kind of customized, one-on-one trainings, which maybe you don't see that at the time, but that information right there for you is perfect. And that's something that I implement as well. One thing that I don't think you guys mentioned was a welcome email. I welcome every single person to my team. I want them to know who I am, where I'm coming from, and why I'm even emailing them. I want them to know that I believe in them and I'm so excited for them. And I wrap up my email by saying, this is my silver in 7. If you are all in, let's get you silver in your first 7 days. I really want you to believe in Plexus. And then I send them a video. It's not even by me. It's by another Diamond Ambassador, Melissa Eichenhorst. And it's about learning while earning while you learn. You can have that first paycheck while you're learning about the business, while you're learning about your products. And I think that's super important because it gives someone confidence that's just getting started, because this could be their first network marketing company. I loved all of these tips. I love both of you so very much. I'm really excited that we put this together. I think that this was a fantastic Zoom call. It was a little lengthy, but it's worth it, man. I can't wait to go back through and listen and take more notes, because there are so many things y'all mentioned that I just want to write down. So thank you so much for joining me on your afternoon. I can't wait for everyone watching this to give us some feedback. We love you guys watching our teams. Maybe you're not on our team. You can do this. Have some belief in yourself and know that if you can go silver, you can go diamond. Yeah. And we can't wait to watch that happen. So thanks, everybody.